Hello and welcome to this episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. I'm Guy, the Game Minister, and joining me are my fellow players Simon, Jono, and Michael. Now, for those of you that don't know, we do a recap of the show every week, just in case you didn't see last week's one and you want to just get right into the action. So to give us our recap, we ask our Dice of Destiny to tell us who is going to do the recap, and that is, well, it's Michael. Michael, would you give us a recap of what happened last week?
Oh, you're right, I can. All right. Well, last time when we were here from the Bacon Battalion, the whole group of us, we gathered up together in order to try and figure out exactly who it was. 'Twas after the Archon, you see. The Archon, of course, being the man in charge of the Order of the Hastari, to which our captains belong. I, myself, Mutaru, and, of course, Blackston and Con together, we decided to come up with a plan in order to try and head off any kind of perpetrators that might possibly try and kill the good old Archon there. Obviously Mutaru doesn't really have too much skill in the way of disguise, so he decided that to hell with it, he'd try anyway, and dressed up as his great aunt, caused a massive distraction involving dresses, laces, dragons, and much, much more, and sure enough, Blackston and Con, using their quite skillful wiles, managed to get aboard the Archon ship as it pulled into the docks and have a quick shoot at the breeze about pretty much everything we had experienced up until this point. Obviously, our encounters in the desert, our encounters with all sorts of wibbly-wobbly elves and people who want to bring back the dragons and all these other things that are absolutely horrifying and terrible, and we haven't had a chance to really tell anyone important about until just then, which we now have done. In the meantime, however, we have discovered that there are many different groups that are in on whatever it is going on against the Archon, including someone who has gathered a whole bunch of mysterious barrels with some mysterious contents and strapped it to the bottom of a whole bunch of boats. Now, you're probably wondering why Mutaru sounds like this. Well, the reason I sound like this is because, we've decided that we're going to try and get our look. We're going to try our luck blending in with other members of the orders in order to try and, get in. And obviously, being a big, large cow is rather hard. So a wizard was lent to us by the Archon who shape-shifted us into different things. Needless to say, Mutaru has had some very, very serious thoughts on being a halfling now, and instantly makes regrets of everything he has done up until this point, and can't wait to be back in his own hooves, as it were. So I think that brings us where we are, as we're trying to infiltrate the other orders and see what we can find out about these mysterious barrels of, I don't know, probably explosives, Knowing our luck, it's probably explosives. It's never something like beer.
All right, so at least now those members from Belfast and Kilkenny understand what's going on. The rest of the planet, of course, hasn't got a single clue. Anyway.
Hey, don't worry. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're fine.
It's all fine. All right. So, with that in mind, the intrepid heroes have donned a alter self spell on a slightly larger scale and are now trying to create this organization known as the Rax Drakari. And we shall see just how lucky they are tonight. Now, the three of you were heading towards the ruins that the Anchor had, members of the Anchors had taken up. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And just to refresh our memory, we have Mutaru, who once was a giant chung, who's now a halfling. Blackston is now an individual by the name of Thurston, who
Still human, though. Yeah.
is human, correct. And Con, what did you eventually settle on?
Suggest.
That's right, suggest. Yes, that's right. All right. So the three of you have made your way up the hill past the commotion that was on the docks. Men and women are wailing and gnashing of their teeth at the poor woman that was dragged into the water by a fierce drake has not been found. And it seems as if she has been eaten, and this has caused a lot of consternation. There is now a dwarvish hunting party who's being put together, who will take harpoons and several longboats out into the harbour to hunt this fearsome drake, which at least 50 witnesses saw drag this poor woman into the bay and consume her. So that's what's happening down in the little harbour of Eichbech.
I should probably mention that to me aunt Nebuchadnezzar so that she never comes back here.
Right, yes. Although she's not much for travel, old Aunt Nebuchadnezzar, owing to the fact of her gammy hooves. But the three of you now, yes, you're on top of the hill. City of Auchbech is in front of you to your left. A little ways off of the main road are the ruins in which the Order of the Anchors has encamped themselves. And those large barrels are stacked outside.
So, Dana, is it now? Or do you wish to have another name for the time being? I think Con might be a little bit on the nose.
Oh gosh, suggesty names and accents. I don't know.
Anyway, my
you could call me
question...
Rethtai.
Reth? Res or Reth?
Rethtai.
Reth. Okay, Con.
And we have come to inspect whether the preparations proceed according to plan.
There we go.
When you were at the camp earlier, did you catch any names that we might invoke?
I don't believe so.
No, you were a dog at that time, and although you were running around, there was that young woman who came to your aid, but you didn't get her name.
So do we want to take a look before we march in to see how many people are there and what security might be?
I think cautious, yes, I think definitely let's take a cautious look before we walk in there.
So maybe let's we have some time, right? So let's at least take an hour or so to kind of scope out the place.
All right.
Is there
ample afternoon, if you recall. So the sun is going to start setting.
So it's like 5 to 6?
Correct.
So actually we would want to be doing this in twilight. It's the hardest time to see anything the human eye. Well,
or we just go in there when dinner is served. Because if people are preoccupied with eating, they don't usually ask too many questions, don't they?
Assuming that they will be doing something like that before setting out to conduct whatever they're doing. Well, let's do
I could go for some dinner. I mean, think about it. With hands this small, food is going to be enormous.
What is the layout around? Is it the encampment? Is there much vegetation? Can we approach quite closely without being directly observed?
That's the unfortunate thing about these ruins, is that from the road you can see them quite clearly perched on that precipice which looks down over the bay.
Yes.
It's flowing green fields now, which unfortunately don't offer very much cover at all. From the road where you currently are standing, you can actually see maybe 5 or 6 people busy milling around the outskirts of the ruins. The ruins themselves look to be some old observation tower, possibly an old fortification that's since long been abandoned.
How ruined are these ruins?
Completely collapsed. There's no roofing, nothing like that. The dwarves used some of the stone to construct the road that you're actually walking on, but other than that, it's maybe there's a tower which gets to 2 stories, but you wouldn't want to climb up those stairs.
Okay. So just the walls of the outhouse, or partial walls.
You can actually see from here that several tents have been set up inside the outer perimeter of the ruins, which is obviously where the Order of the Anchor is camping down.
So let's just see and watch what happens for a bit, then, if we want to wait.
Well, I mean, isn't that why we're in disguises? Isn't it so we can, walk up and mingle with them?
I have an idea, which may save us some time, but it will require us to act for our lives.
Just bullshit our way in.
Yes, I think that the tidbits of information regarding the fact that the Archon is chosen to remain on his ship might be a good opener.
I think
Change
so.
of plans. We have a message for herself. Pick a conspirator we can have the message come from.
Pick a conspirator, any conspirator.
What about our deacon or a deacon? One of the other, we have like fair amount of information on our deacon at least, right? Like how much do we actually know about the other deacons?
Not enough. Let's use ours.
Okay.
We'll say we have a message from him for her, and hopefully that they will infer. That's my plan.
Oh yes. Just confidence.
If it all goes wrong, kill everything that moves.
I'd rather not kill people who might just be...
Assuming that we're facing a pack of treacherous conspirators bent on murdering half of the Order.
Mutaru takes a moment to realize that Khan may have slightly gotten a taste for blood over the Sajet Desert.
Completely the opposite, in fact.
Oh yeah, that sounded exactly like I thought you get a fucking weapon.
Right, let's go do this.
I remember a small fire in the desert and a club. And two bodies thrown out into a mountain range.
Don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, and for those of you that don't know what they're talking about, there was a small incident that happened out in the Dune Seas that the only other witness has decided to keep quiet about rather wisely. All right. So is that your plan? You're gonna walk in and sort of start.
And I mean, we're not solid snakes, so yeah.
I think it's our only option. If we try lurking around the outskirts, someone's going to see us, and then we'll have to explain ourselves, and we'll be on the back foot.
I would still say like we can, or do you think it would be an issue if we just take like an hour or half an hour, or whatever, to just like see how much movement there is around, just like because
it's in plain view. Well, it's in plain view now. What can we see?
Like I said, just a few people sort of milling around. It looks like people waiting for something. They have that air of people who've been here now for quite some time. They've been told that something's going to be happening, but it's only later. So it's like, well, we can chat, I suppose, and sort of wander around. Just
okay, so here's a question though. So waiting can be many things. Is it an uneasy waiting, like
no,
something's
it looks
gonna
like
happen?
a jovial kind of wait. Every now and again, a peal of laughter breaks out. Someone's told a joke.
Okay, then I'm not necessarily like super worried, because if they were like this, right, like shifty,
Right. No.
then it would mean something different.
The exact opposite. This literally feels like you are watching a bunch of boys on a Boy Scout camp. They're excited. They're
excited.
Yeah, they're waiting for something to happen.
Well, Britney Spears is coming, so
right. So that's pretty much what you pick up from the anchors. In the time that you're watching them, there is a individual who walks quite purposefully into the camp. He doesn't pay you any attention whatsoever. And you can see, obviously, he demands something from someone. There's a little bit of a disagreement of some sorts. And then said individual, dressed in quite expensive-looking clothing, definitely a member of one of the orders. You can see the tattoo on the hand, without a doubt. Then marches back into the city of Auchberg. So that's the only thing. And that visit has caused a little bit of a group to form who have some discussions, and then they go back to
So this person looked like a deacon kind of guy?
No, it didn't look like one of the three, because the three deacons that you know to be here is Deacon Varda, who of course
which is ours, yeah.
Deacon. Then there's Deacon Ulians, who's from the Archrelicar, and then Deacon Croft, who is representing the anchors. Ulians, you remember hearing, is a large man. Croft is a woman, and Varda is a tiefling, of course. So this particular individual didn't match any of that.
All right. Then the other question would be, Did he have a cape? And was the cape lined red inside?
No, the cape that he was wearing was fairly ornate, green with silver trim and edging. Much more
I mean, you
elvish.
can change capes. I'm aware of this. I just... All right. So do we want to take 5 minutes to watch this? Either wait for twilight or wait for them to get supper?
Now it is definitely twilight. That's
Mutaru won't necessarily wait too long. Mutaru says that he will most likely head to the outskirts where there's some laughter and try to blend in.
Not looking up any skirts.
So I'll find the present.
Let's do this.
I'll find the nearest group where there are some people laughing, preferably joking around.
All right. So as you're heading into the camp, people sort of shoot you a glance, but the moment you raise your hand, revealing the tattoo on it, they literally smile, nod, professional to professional, and then go back to chatting.
I'll turn around to them and say, all right, I've got a question for you all. All right. How can you tell an Aasimar from a tiefling? I've never heard of a tiefhole paladin.
Going right along.
No one gets it. No one gets it at all. They all sort of...
I continue to laugh.
Right. Well,
so I think we want to split up for a second here, right? And just like see as quickly as possible to kind of...
Before we split up, I just whisper to Blackston that given that nobody's treating us with any suspicion, we can probably take our time with this.
Right, and I nod and say like, yeah, that's fine. Let's be careful and to not run into like restricted areas we are not aware of.
All right, so Mutara, you start to chat to these individuals. It's you realize that you're chatting to two different ships worth of captains here. They're both Order of the Anchor, obviously, but the one that you start chatting to is a gentleman by the name of Rolvin. He's a rather cadaverous-looking human, and you realize that originally he was from Drakenmore. Very pale skin. He's very calm, very quiet individual. And you're busy talking. Is there anything specifically that you want to talk about?
Without sort of getting too much into it, I'll drop a hint that on my last outing to the Sujet Empire, I met some anchors, and I'll mention what was the name of that one that we found in?
Whom are you asking?
The two anchor dudes I'm talking to.
You're asking.
Yes, I the player am asking. I'll also actually, you know what? I'll do the same thing in character. Like I'll be like, I can't quite remember the name. She had
drift up behind him and go, Hashtal, wasn't it?
Aye, that's the lady. Hashtal. She was from the Order of the Anchor as well. Oh, she had some great stories.
Is that right?
Aye. Some fantastic ones. She said she had business or something, so our paths didn't cross very well. Do you know her?
Captain Hastal. I think I have met her once before, but I can't say I remember everyone I meet from the Order. Do you know when exactly they're going to allow us to move into the city?
Well, there's been a hold-up. I don't know if you've heard.
No.
The Archon has decided to stay on his ship. Apparently he's not feeling well.
I don't understand what that has to do with us moving into the city.
Well,
I thought we were camped out here because the city didn't have any accommodations for us. But I thought that was being sorted.
Well, yes.
Another night out.
Now, with the Archon changing his plans at the last moment, everyone else is running around trying to accommodate. So I don't know when your move will be facilitated.
Good recovery.
But I still don't see what the Archon's plans have to do with us getting decent bedding.
Well, sure.
Well, it's either that or I'm going to go back to my ship. I can't say that I find it particularly enjoyable lying on the ground here.
I'm not sure why you all chose to come camp out here in the first place. Surely the ship would have been more comfortable to begin with.
I didn't choose anything. Didn't you receive the orders?
Well, we've just arrived. We were delayed.
Oh. Well, then you should know that they've requested that all the captains stay together. Something about bonding or some such nonsense.
Surely then they would have had you all out here. Doesn't make much sense to accommodate several groups of captains in town and have you camped out. You'd have been much closer to town if you'd stayed on your boats.
I wasn't one who made the plans, but whoever made the plans for the Histari and for the Arct Relicar obviously booked accommodation in advance. Typical of the anchors to not get it right until the last moment, isn't it?
No, too right. Just as a curious question, which one of those fine ships out there are yours?
He looks out over the darkening bay, and it's difficult now to tell ships exactly apart, especially since the ships of the orders you can tell immediately because they don't have any lights on them at all. They're completely dark. But he points at one of them and he says, "That's her over there, the Swifton. Lovely ship. Much more comfortable than in the solid ground here. You were lucky that you only got here today. Why were you late? The order went out quite some time ago for us all to congregate here."
We had to stop off for some repairs to our vessel.
Ah, quite so.
From where he pointed towards his ship, in relation to the ships that I knew had the barrels attached to them, how close was he pointing? Like, I imagine I can't see the exact ship itself, but
I'm going to ask you to give me a perception check.
So in the meantime...
nope, I see nothing. I see the back of my palm. I rolled a natural 1.
The problem is that you're very small now and...
No!
You're on the wall.
Why? Someone give me a boost. Anyone have a phone book?
So
this is why people keep wizards. You get the big tome, you just step up on it.
Yes, Simon, in the meantime.
In the meantime, did we manage to time for the supper?
You haven't got that information yet.
So while those two kind of talk with the two captains, right, I would kind of mosey through the camp in lieu of maybe some smells of cuisine.
Right.
Or like some sounds, because if there's a mess hall or whatever, the easiest thing is either smell or it's like people talking and laughing, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm searching for, because I want to have people that are completely like relaxed and just like jovial. Like.
As you're busy wandering, hoping to catch a scent of roast meat or vegetables or something on the go, you can't help but overhear two captains, complaining. There's no other word for it. And the complaint is simply that, well, it's all good and well, them feeding all our crew, but why do we have to have a bloody dinner so late? I don't understand it. I mean, to be perfectly frank with you, I'd quite happily go and join the crew down at the dock. I think they're going to have a much better time. Oh, did you hear about that poor bloody woman who drowned this afternoon? Yes, some great big alligator came out of the harbour and ate her.
So I would approach those two and say, and kind of nod at them and say, like, yeah, we just got into bay. Something slowed us down. What's the word?
The one who was complaining shakes your hand. His name is Benkin. Excuse me. And his companion, who is this very, very green-looking individual, you realize is a goblin, And
That's good, because if he's an orc, I would have had a problem with it. But.
Right. He looks up at you and gives you a nod. And he says, oh, well, you're bloody lucky to only get in here now. I mean, we've been bloody stuck here for 3 days, sleeping on the damn floor.
On the floor? That's barbarous.
Yeah, well, we don't make the rules, right? So anyway, whoever did, well, no, we know who did. It was Croft, right? She says, no, we're all going to bond together. We're all going to get together and muck in. And then, of course, then the jokes start about, well, the goblin should be used to sleeping on the floor, right? Yeah, well, I'm not used to sleeping on the floor, thank you very much. I'm a captain of the order. Anyway,
Right.
Yeah, so if you're hoping for grub, we're busy waiting because, yeah, well, anyway, you know what the saying.
I mean, I have like some small rations with me. If you don't have anything.
Oh, God. No, don't let Croft see that. She'll bloody skin you alive. She's quite serious on this whole bonding thing, right? You know, I don't know what...
I mean, I just came in. I saw her down at the harbor. If you want something, if you're hungry, man, like...
Oh, no. Your crew will be taken good care of. Apparently there's some great big do that they're throwing for them down in the harbour this evening.
Yeah.
Compulsory attendance.
Sure, and why aren't we invited? Is it...
Oh, no, it's for crew only. It's all for
and
the
we need to hunger.
No. We've got something happening later on. I think it's like 8th bell or something stupid.
Oh, wow. And are we supposed to meet with the others? I heard they're in the city, right?
Well, isn't that just... Yeah, they're in the city because, well, they managed to book accommodation before we did because, well, typical anchors, right? Didn't organise anything before they got here. So
But Croft sent out Croft managed to set up all this stuff, but not, this doesn't make any sense, doesn't it?
No, well, the barrels are some tech demo for tomorrow. It's some kind of new weapon that we're going to be using against, you know, the enemies of the Order. Like, we need more weaponry. I mean... I don't know about you, but the last time we fired our ballista must have been about a year ago, if not more.
Yeah, we had some training exercises, but really that's it, right?
Right, exactly right.
So how, in relation to this, how close is Mutaro and Con to this conversation?
Probably about 40, 50 feet away. You can hear it kind of going on in the background as people are mingling. But generally speaking, the atmosphere is that all of the members of the Anchor are here because they were ordered to do so through their oracles. They got message from Deacon Croft. They have to come to Auchbech. It's some kind of joint training collaboration effort. And the fact that there wasn't accommodation booked for them, so they've been camped down here.
But I didn't mishear when I heard that the barrels were containing some sort of potential weapon.
No, and
and the barrels looked very similar to the ones that were underneath the ships.
Yes.
It was the same, right?
Correct. Rolvin will confirm that as well. You sort of slip it into the conversation, you know. Yes, apparently being armed or something.
Would you excuse me for a moment? Me and the captain, we have to, you know, have a bit of yarn. I'll pull Con over to the side.
Excuse us. What's up?
Ships going to explode. All the crew are down there.
Yes, but we have people on that, don't we?
Do we? I mean, are they actually going to do something? I mean, like I know there's.
I told them to. So I mean, they don't.
I know,
if
but
we can't trust those two, then we really are in trouble.
But
we can't run around like headless chickens.
So boy, you're right. I mean, you know, a new upgraded weapon just seems like something that's a bit excessive.
Well, probably our original suspicion is probably correct, given that you found a bunch of them bolted to the bottom of the ships.
Well, see, I was expecting something that might go pop, like I wasn't really expecting a, brand new, let's gather everyone together and train for the, I don't know if you remember this, but I got shot with one of those training dummy rounds, right? All right. They hurt on their own, and those were non-lethal. All right.
Yes.
Yes, Simon?
I would just want to ask him, so what are the plans tomorrow? So we're gonna eat fairly late, was it 2-3 hours?
Yeah, about 2-3 hours, give or take. But again, it's anchors, so I wouldn't trust anything. I believe the Histari and the Alt Reliquor are doing their own thing
So
tonight, anyway. But tomorrow, didn't your Oracle tell you all of this? Ours was quite clear on the plan.
She felt really ill 2 to 3 weeks ago.
You don't say.
Yeah, she mentioned something when we came down here. We went in for repairs, and she fell ill apparently. She said something about cold. I don't know what that was about. Oracle business there. You never know what's up with them, right?
Well, that's damn strange because about how many weeks ago was it? A good couple weeks ago, our Oracle also reported feeling very cold. But she got over it, and she moved on from it. So anyway, it just seems strange.
Are they a pair of captains are from the same boat, or are they from different boats?
These two, Ruth and Benken, are from the same ship, the Cloud Dancer.
All right. So then I asked, have you heard anything from the others or something similar? Because that's really odd, isn't it?
I can't say that we've spoken to any of them else about the Oracle feeling cold. Our Oracle's. Well, she's all right, now. There's no problems now.
And it took hours, some time to recover, and that's why one of the reasons why we're late, actually.
Right. That's fine. So tomorrow, we're all getting together in Auchberg, where there's a stage platform arena thing. And the Archon is here, and he's going to address us about operations and that kind of thing. And then I believe that Deacon Croft or Erlins is going to demonstrate those new weapons that they want us to load up onto the ships. And yeah, pretty much that's it. But, what strikes us as odd, do you know that this is the largest single gathering of the Order since
captives,
founding?
Right? Yeah.
You know that. They've never been all three Orders together with this many ships.
In attendance.
The Order was founded 300 years ago.
It's not like we have anything to do, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So, it's obviously good. They're upskilling, upgrading, but it would have been nice not to be stuck, in these ruins. But it is what it is, I suppose.
It is what it is, indeed. All right, I'm gonna search for my other captains and see if there's anything to eat, because I'm hungry and I'm not really. These rations don't I want something warm to eat.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
There's someone at my door. Hang on, I'll be back. Just keep rolling.
So.
That's even more confusing than ever.
Well, okay. Okay, I think we've pieced together a whole bunch of information, and I think what comes is we have to decide exactly what course of action to take next.
To be honest, I'm leaning towards direct action against the conspirators at this point, because we can't lock down what they're going to do. 3.
Well, there's 3 potential targets, right?
We have enough evidence.
There's the dockyard with all the barrels attached to the ships. There's right here where we are now, where apparently they're waiting for something, which again, dinner or whatever the case may be. All the captains are still here aside from the crew in the ruins outside of the Dwarven city, which is, if you're going to say, for example, set off a big explosion.
Well, just the anchors are here. The story and the relic are in town.
So
which is the third potential target.
The question is, why did they split the captains with the crew?
No, I think that perhaps we need to take this at face value, that the anchors don't have accommodation, and that's why they're here. All the action is set to take place tomorrow. The problem we have here is we don't have a clear understanding of the timing. We thought that the captains and the Archon would be assassinated at the address, but if they're planning on some weapon demonstration after the address, then when exactly is this going to kick off? This means that I feel strongly now that we need to act against the conspirators before tomorrow.
So do we want to go to the city and take a look at the stage still? See if there's like a V as Vendetta, is it in English? I don't know.
V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta kind of setup going on here. Right? Like maybe that's the thing that we could try out.
We could try there on our way.
Yeah, look, yeah, I agree. Let's go to the stage, check it out, and then based on that, we'll go after the conspirators.
And do we want to just like play ball for now? If you think this is all just going to happen tomorrow?
No. As in, like, as Con says, we like the thing is that there are just so many unknown variables. Trying to find all of them will take up so much time that they will have ample opportunity to get what they need done if we don't find anything at stage.
I think we can safely say nothing's going to happen before the address.
Correct.
Yes. So we
but
like what I meant
up to that point we have
the lunch at 8. Like, do we want to attend that?
Yeah.
Right, just like play ball. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Until we're in the right position.
Technology, it's great, isn't it?
It's amazing. The green screen the glass doesn't care. Anyway, sorry. Yes, all right, let's carry on. Japan, Amazon in Japan delivers at all times. It's almost 9 o'clock already.
On Sunday.
On a Sunday, right? Anyway, all right, good.
All right, so heading to the... Oh, wait, what time is it about at the moment, Guy?
6 p.m., 6:30.
So
okay, and how long would it take to get to the castle and back, roughly?
The castle? You mean the city of
the city? Sorry, the city.
Oh, 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, so we can go check it out and still come back in time. Easy.
Before we leave, I would then go to Ruth and
come back for what?
Benken, and just ask. So we want to head to the city. Is that an issue? Like, again, like we're a little bit out of fish out of the water right now.
Yeah, no, going to the city is not a problem. No, the only area that's off limits is actually there's and he points to one of the last freestanding structures in the center of all of the tents in this ruin. It looks like it's an old mausoleum or a crypt of some kind. He points to that, and you can see that there's two very large, quite heavily armored men standing in front of it. He points to it and he says, "No, that's the only place we're not allowed to go to."
Is this where Croft's staying?
Where's Croft staying? Oh, Croft
is where Croft is staying.
Yeah. Croft's in there, along with the oracles.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So see you later.
All right. Cheers, mate.
And on our way out is like looking at the others, just like.
Do you pick up on that cue and follow Blackston, or are you?
Oh yeah, we were already of a similar frame of mind.
All right. So where are you?
I meant this look is when we're outside, like. We want to go to there. Like, we need to get it there, right? Like, I mean...
We want to try and sneak into a room full of oracles.
I mean, now we are off on the, out of the camp, we can speak freely, right? So so if that's the place where the oracle is, and we're looking for the leader of the oracles, and this is where Croft's staying, I mean, this is ground zero, right? Isn't it? I mean, or am I just, like, drunk or something?
Well, probably not ground zero, but I get what you're saying. It's definitely the source of all of our current woes and tribulations.
Well,
most likely, yes.
Where is Vardis and the other?
Well, we might just go to the city and find out. No?
And it's just more variables.
I think let's stick to the course. We'll head to the stage, check out the stage. And then go from there. If we can find something tangible, then we can act on it. But at the moment, like obviously, if we try to approach Croft right now, we're revealed. So let's So let's go to the stage first.
We head to town via the stage before the banquet.
All right.
Wait up! I've got tiny legs.
So as you walk through the streets of Eichbech, the aroma of the city starts to assail your nostrils, especially with all this talk about mealtime and that kind of thing, as the dwarves have started their nightly preparations. There's a strong, earthy scent of beans and mushrooms that are busy being boiled, broiled, fried, cooked, battered, baked in 100 different ways that the dwarves are so very famous for. So it's quite a long journey until you eventually arrive at the outskirts of the arena. Now, as you get closer and closer to the arena, you start to hear and smell fresh timber being banged together. And the sounds of sawing and hacking and people shouting in Dwarvish to get things done. Unfortunately, as you get to the main entrance of the arena, now the arena is built almost like the ancient Colosseum of Rome, but instead of beautiful Romanesque arches, they're square lintel design of the dwarves, very, very rugged, very solid structure. And as you get to the main entrance, there's a dwarf, several dwarves, as a matter of fact, at the various entrances, who bar your way. No one is allowed inside. I'm sorry.
But we're here to monitor the security protocols.
We were sent by the Archon himself. He just arrived. We just came from off board, and we were supposed to see how the preparations are. How far the preparations are along.
I don't know anyone by the name of Archon, but the Deacon Varda is in charge. He said no one's allowed in other than those that have got the red armband. And he points to his arm.
Bugger, I knew we should have stopped at the office first.
He's got a red armband on.
And I just charm person.
Go.
I beg your pardon?
I cast charm person.
Oh, right.
Wait, let me just double check I have that. Yes, I do.
All right, well, he completely fails his wisdom saving throw.
Yes, Vardis is my boss. I've just come off board. We haven't had a chance to stop by and get our armbands and things, but we really don't have time for this. You do realize we're getting quite late in the day. We just need to make sure that the security preparations are in order, and then I can go and report to Vardis.
But that's not a problem. I understand. We've all got duties.
Yeah. Do you have some spare of these red bandanas? Do you have some spare one for us so we don't get stopped by the others?
Oh, you'll have to get those from the office. It's inside, but Lord Varder's inside as well.
In the office too?
Excellent. Then we can kill two birds with one stone, and I will be sure to tell him that you are doing a sterling job out here.
Aye. That's very kind of you. You should pop around to the house for supper afterwards. I know the wife.
Delightful. I enjoy
have visitors.
Well, fantastic. I always enjoy good home cooking when I visit the Dwarven kingdoms.
So out of game question right now. We saw Vada, Croft, and Ulians approach this ship.
Correct.
When we kind of snuck in.
Correct.
And then we went basically past them.
Right.
Towards the outpost with the anchors.
Correct.
How long did this take? How long did we wait?
Probably
we see them return.
It's probably been about an hour.
So he could have returned in the mean. Okay, so that's
whilst you were in the actual camp itself. Yes, correct.
Okay. So that is what I was.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name, young man.
My name, sir, is Gladashanksloch.
Gladashanksloch, right. I'll be sure to remember that when it comes for bonus time. Now, if you don't mind, we really must be getting on.
Not at all, he says, stepping aside and opening up the door, allowing you to hear even more of the woodworking sounds that are going on within.
Good man.
So, did we see the bandana he was pointing at? And is it just like a red thing, or is it
literally just a red armband that's tied rather crudely around the arm?
I just look at Mini Mutaro and I just tell him like, "Do you have any red clothes on you?"
Does my do like, because obviously I keep like my makeups and my disguise. I imagine I've got some ribbons to.
I'm going to roll a d20 and see if luck is on your side, because Mutaro's colors are traditionally green.
Oh yeah, green and blue. That's what I normally wear. That's very true.
But he was in disguise.
Oh no! But I do have green face paint.
Yeah, that's right.
So I could take my blue cloth and sort of ruin
ruin
my makeup.
Maybe you have like a shawl or like a whatever from your auntie.
The dice of luck, you don't have any red cloth on.
Okay. How many, like, is it quite busy? Like, I mean, obviously there's the noise and the cacophony, but like, are people kind of not really paying attention as they're going around?
Once you step into the arena itself, it's a short walk down the large stone corridor and beyond. Yes, there's workmen moving about. It's not very well lit either. There's lots of lanterns and things hanging about. But
stick to the shadows.
So what I would do is like I pull off the cape a little bit and hide like over the shoulders, so it's like over the arms.
Well, what I'd like to do is just some random workers, no one important, just people who are like sort of like busy, like with both hands, like carrying stuff.
Right.
Just using my small stature, sort of sneak up to them, and using a very small knife, which I actually have, which is more for like cutting things, just sort of slice the band over their arm and just gently let them walk away without it. And then just...
All right, give me a stealth check.
So how busy is this?
They are pretty busy. You can see half of the stage has been completed.
Do I have any bonuses for being tiny?
No.
Dang.
Because they're tiny too.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, so that's not too bad. That's a 17 on my dice and a +0 to my stealth.
It's an 18 on my dice. He turns around as you're sort of gingerly grabbing at the threads and says, "What are you doing?"
Oh, sorry, you had a loose string. There you go. All better. Carry on, you large, virile, strong, muscular man, you. Who does your beard?
I don't like foreigners, he says as he
Oh.
back and carries on hammering into a large wooden plank.
Let's have a look at the stage, shall we? Now, how is the seating arranged?
Yes. So the arena itself, the level that you've entered in on, is the level that the base seating starts at, and then it works its way up in steps above you and around you as it provides seating for several thousand dwarves.
So there's
below you is the actual arena floor. And from here, you're afforded a view of the entire area. Now, it's almost a perfect circle. And in the center of that circle, they have built a square platform, a very large square platform, which is where the you assume chairs and tables will be set up for tomorrow's conference. Now, the staging itself, it's rather an interesting stage because it's about 6 foot off of the actual arena floor. They've built it up and have started to fill it in basically to build the decking over it.
But there's like empty room beneath the seating then?
Correct. It looks like they've had to build quite an elaborate structure in order to be able to maintain this cavernous space underneath. Now, the staging itself is almost complete. They've nearly completely sealed over those last few holes in the floor that lead down into the space underneath. And then, yes, at the far end of the square, there is a room or it looks like a small square structure has been built. That's completely roofed over and probably is about 40 foot by 100 foot in diameter, in dimension anyway.
So that there's ample room to store these barrels if they would be to explode underneath.
Underneath, absolutely, or even in that room that's been built.
Did you say they're almost finished constructing the stage and there's only a few openings left?
Correct, yes.
Mataru, quick, under the stage! Should we have a look at this box?
All right. All right. So, Mutaru, you dash along towards the stage. You get to one of the open areas of the wooden flooring, and you stick your head in. It is very dark underneath there, but in looking underneath the stage, you can see that there are just row upon row upon row of barrels, exactly the same that you have seen before.
Looking over at Con, Mutaru thinks super loud to Con. I don't want to go onto the stage.
It's at exactly that moment, as Con and Blackstone are heading towards the large wooden structure, that Mutaru, you hear a voice behind you.
Oh, why is it always me? Why is it always me?
You're the one who's looking underneath the stage. The voice. What
Don't worry, we got your back.
Just as a question, do I know what Deacon Varda sounds like?
Yes, he sounds pretty much like that.
Shit.
How far away are we from this?
You're on the other side of the stage, so about 60 foot away.
Would we be hearing this? Like, it's loud,
Or
so
seeing
maybe,
it, at
maybe
least.
Not about the banging and the sawing and the, oi, bring that over here, load that down there, all that sort of thing.
Can we see
Okay.
it?
I'm going to have to...
You can. Sorry, Michael, I'll get to you now. John,
No, go.
You can see. You could potentially see it, but your focus was heading towards that large structure.
Fine,
So,
cool. All right. It's not like in my field of view, so
No.
as it were.
No.
Okay, fine.
all right, Mataru, what are you doing?
Okay. I'm going to have to use all my cunning and guile to try and get out of this situation. All right, you're not going to believe this, but my red bandana flew clean across and into the underneath of the stage, and I was trying to get in to squeeze and grab it back, but it's pretty dark in there, sir, and I just can't see it for the life of me. I am, I'm sorry, sir. I'm a little bit careless. I'm a bit nervous, but I'll just go.
But
get
you
it.
are not a dwarf, he says, walking forward. Now, Deacon Varda is a very tall tiefling, very thin, with these great sweeping horns and this rather jagged, pointed tail. And his face is very aquiline, very, very long, very narrow, and very, very pointed. His cape that he wears blows rather dramatically in this breeze that apparently has stolen your armband. And he takes several steps forward. You can see that his hand has drifted over to the longsword that is hilted at his side as he stares at you with these very, very yellow eyes.
So there are no other dwarves, no other non-dwarves?
No, just dwarves.
That is good to know. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to use my telepathy to try. Is there a roof over the?
No. It's a giant arena, so directly above you is starlight right now.
Okay. And is he on the stage itself?
Correct, with you, yes.
Okay. I'm going to try to use my telepathy to create the sound of snapping wood beneath his feet, just to kind of get him to look down for long enough for me to sort of duck into the nearest sort of mosh of dwarves
in front of you.
Yeah.
All right. Would you please give me a wisdom saving throw as you try to create this sound of snapping wood?
That is a 14.
As you try and extend the power of your mind towards him, you are suddenly not standing on that stage anymore, but you're standing in a ghost-like space with the planking in front of you has got this grey, wispy feel to it. Varda is standing there, but you don't see him, and so much as you get the impression of his thoughts. and his thoughts are very mixed at the moment. There's excitement, there's fear, there's a little bit of anger, there's concern, there's worry that is washing over him. So instead of seeing him in color, you're seeing these colors scintillating over most of his head area. And interestingly enough, down onto his tail as well, which twitches like a cat's. As you look briefly beyond him, you can see several other dwarves. They're very different colors to him. They're a lot greener. Their thoughts are a lot more focused on getting finished in time to get back home. So there's this wash of information that comes towards you. However, in that moment, you also see this very black, solid shape looming over the top of the Colosseum. And it looks down at you, and as it opens its eyes, you suddenly feel your mind being pulled out of your body. What are you doing?
Whew, I'm going to stop that immediately. Can I grasp of Hada my soul? Is that a thing I can do? Just come back here. All
right, so you're going to try and stop your telepathy.
Oh yeah, I'm going to stop it immediately, and I'm going to use my best performance check to pass it off as nothing happened, and perhaps lean towards passing this off as a drunken dare or something.
Before that happens, I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh, I actually have Constitution. I can actually do stuff. No, I can't because I do. Oh yeah, no, I do. Okay. Oh, that is a 20, but not natural.
All right. As you try and shut your mind off, you get the sense that this terrific figure that's looming over everything has reached out and has pulled part of your thoughts from your mind. And before you can see what it does with them, you kind of suddenly back in the Colosseum with the wood sounds starting to come back, the scent, the aroma, and Varda standing in front of you, coming back. You may make your performance check, but you have disadvantage on it. It was such an unreal experience.
Okay. Oh, damn that disadvantage! I'm not sure 20. Okay. That is still a 17.
All right. So Varda is still standing in front of you, demanding to know, what are you doing here? But before you answer,
all right.
Back to John and Simon, you approach this structure that's been made. You can see that there's several doors that have been built into the front, facing out into the stage. So arguably people will stay behind that and then walk out onto stage as they're called or summoned. So this might be some kind of VIP.
Just open it with self-righteous confidence.
You go in with self-righteous confidence? All right.
I follow with haughty arrogance of a Sajet.
Well, look at that, racial profiling. The haughty arrogance of a Sajet, and just with blind confidence, you stride into the room. Looking at you rather surprised is a... sorry, wrong page. Is another... a woman. She is also a tiefling. She is dressed in the very simple garb of an oracle, and she is busy looking, or was looking, at the wall that fronts onto the arena stage itself. She was looking at that wall, and then as the two of you walk in, she's now turned her attention.
I say, Vada sent us to ask you how far the preparations have been going.
I need you both to give me performance checks, please, because of what you realize as your mouth is busy saying the words.
Yeah. 15.
Oh, that's my...
Have I taught you nothing, Con? Perform, damn it.
Wish me luck. Oh, 17.
She blinks at you twice, and the reason why you were thrown off slightly is because you realize that the front wall that looks out onto the stage from this side is absolutely transparent. You can see through it.
I was expecting this, yeah.
right into where people will be sitting. She looks at you, her eyes scan you briefly up and down, and she says, "What?"
Vada,
"Yes?"
how are things going along?
"I do not report to Varda. But..."
Interdepartmental bureaucracy. We just need a little bit of an update status. You know what he's like.
Oh, you are good. You are good. She sighs. "You can tell your precious Varda that we are ready for tomorrow, and
Splendid.
that anybody who is sitting in front of us will join us tomorrow. All the fireworks are not needed." Graveler said,
Yeah,
provide
you know how
extra
he is.
packs.
Backup plans upon backup plans, right?
Yes.
Yes, well, I'm sure that it will all go smoothly. Your talents are, without a doubt, more than up to the task. Thank you very much. We'll stop bothering you.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that Vada doesn't bother you either.
"That's very kind of you," she says, and
Yeah.
she turns back to looking out onto the stage.
Yeah,
Well,
just
two managed.
just from a quick glance around, just from a quick glance around, this is just like a wooden box with its.
It looks like it's a fairly long, well, it's 100-foot long and
Right.
40-foot deep or wide, as the room might be. There are several tables that have been put in here. There is definitely a back door with stairs that are still being constructed out the back of it. There looks to be a trap door in the very center that leads obviously into the floor. Where that goes, you're not entirely sure. But there's definitely a covered roof over
Okay,
the
so
top.
there's one other exit from ours, right? The trapdoor.
There's a trap door, and then there's a door out the back. Yes.
Door at the back.
Mm.
Just
All
from the spatial knowledge, this is a fairly big room. I don't know how big the Colosseum necessarily is. Would the back door be towards the wall, towards the outside of the Colosseum?
Correct. So from that back door, you would maybe need to cover 10 foot of actual arena floor, and then you'd be at the edge of the arena, and you could then exit out through that.
All right. I just nod and then look at Con and say like, like, and the plot tickets.
All right. Meanwhile, back to Mutaru and Varda. I asked you a question.
Right, sorry, sir. Cards on the table. I was kind of with the boys, and there was a drunk bet, and they knew the area was restricted, and they dared me to try and, get in and touch the stage. It was stupid, I know, but, the boys, they were antsy, and, we had a bit to drink. We're stupid, sir. And, all the excitement for tomorrow, can't wait to be here. Everyone's really excited, and,
Give me a performance check, or a deception check, actually.
dang it. I don't have oh, wait, no, I do have deception. I have deception. I can deceive. 18.
18. What ship are you from?
What was the name of the? It was the. I know this. I need to start writing stuff down more often. I'm going to use the name of the Drakenmore captain's vessel that he gave to us while we were eating.
Which was?
Dang it! I don't remember. It was.
Remember, you have disadvantage on your deception.
Fine, I'll take the disadvantage. I will rue myself later. Damn you, past Michael. Write stuff down.
Oh, yes.
And I'm not even joking, right? That is now the second time disadvantage has robbed me of my natural 20.
Right.
I'm going to throw this dice away. It's going in the bin. But I got an 11 plus 4 is 15.
He steps forward.
Don't stab me. Don't stab me.
And he says,
He steps forward.
"Come with me."
Sir, yes, sir.
He points towards the large structure at the end of the stage and waits.
Which is where we are right now?
Walking towards it, yes. You can see Con and Blackstone beating a very surreptitious retreat out of the door as they are...
So would we then see this?
You see Varda and the halfling, yes, at the far end of the stage, starting to make their way towards you now.
All right,
look who Mataru found.
We are on the grounds of the Colosseum, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Correct.
Like with all the building. Is there somewhere we could just like inconspicuously go around the corner or some shit?
So the stage is still busy being built, so there are still piles of timber and stuff. So the two of you could, in theory, slip behind one of those before the Mutaru and Varda arrive.
And here's an out-of-game question. I have to cast the spell Hunter's Mark. If I cast the spell on him, it just gives me like advantages to track him and stuff like this generally,
yes.
right? And also amount damage. But would he be aware that he's...
Yes, yes. So all of those marking spells, all the telepathy, everything, they are aware once it's on.
Okay, then I don't do it.
All right. So the two of you sort of step behind some timbers that are busy being built.
And while he kind of moves little mini Mutaru towards us, I kind of look at Con like, what do we do? We can't do it.
We're going to have to get him out of this. We got him into it.
Save me.
We
always need to get him out of shit.
Well, to be fair, I did send him off on this one.
All right, so the two of you step aside behind some timbers as Varda leads our young halfling into the room. He opens the door for you, Mutaru, and ushers you in.
Wait.
I'll go in without a fuss.
Before they reach, we are in between him and the door. I don't know if we want him to actually get in the.
All right. Well, you've got 6 seconds to decide.
It's a more contained space if we do.
All right. So as he opens the door and shoves him in, how close are we to? How close were we to?
20 foot.
We'll just sort of smartly follow right behind.
Right. So because I'll try to be silent as possible, although I have armor on at this point. So
all right. Okay, both of you give me stealth checks, please.
But I expect the Oracle not necessarily to be super surprised that we are behind him because we just outed ourselves as working for him, which will be very shortly in backstabbing him. So I have disadvantage on my thing. So
that
I
is
have
a stealth of 13.
All right. Well, you are lucky because apparently the halfling is the focus of Varda's rage. He does not pick up your 4.
What?
Just a noise behind him. He just walks in looking at the halfling. And the reason for this is as he pushes you through the doorway, Mutaru, he steps through and he says, I want you to read his mind. I think we have an infiltrator.
And as he does,
you step up behind him.
As he does this, I look at Con and say, "Get her," and then I try to knock him out.
All right, so that's going to lead us to a little thing I like to call initiative.
That I like to call
natural 20.
Oh wow!
14 on my part. Maybe we have a surprise round too.
18 for Mutaru.
Right. And the gods. Oh, wow. All right. Well, you have a surprise round. Anyway, initiative says so. You're all acting before they get a chance to act.
So does Con and I get a surprise round on the Lou that we managed to stealth with a 4?
Yes, technically there's no such thing as surprise rounds anymore, but yes, for all intents and purposes, you get to act, they do not act, and then you get to go again.
Okay.
It's just some wording within the 5th edition I was reading up on the other day. So, Con, what are you doing?
I cast Hold Person on the Oracle.
All right. She gets a wisdom saving throw, am I correct?
That is correct.
DC of 14 or 15 from you?
Correct, 14.
14, all right.
Ambitious, I know.
I mean, 50-50.
She looks at you and...
Nice.
comes to complete.
Oh, I love it when a plan comes together.
Mutaru.
Mutaru begins to form Warlock hand signal. Oh, sorry. First, is there casting defensively? Is that a thing I need to do when I'm casting very close to someone with the long? Oh no, he hasn't drawn his longsword, has he?
He doesn't threaten you.
Okay. Is it common for them to be able to like punch me in the jaw? Or is that kind of something I should be expecting?
Well, people can hit you. I mean, how Varda fights, you don't know. He's a deacon.
All right. Well, I mean, can I step back and cast so I'm out of range, or is that going to take too many actions?
No.
Okay. I'm going to use my second casting to cast another phantasmal force, to which I cry out, "Tears of the Jelly God," and use my phantasmal force to create a illusion of a gelatinous cube with Varda.
Sort of threatening him?
In like sort of engulfing, like sort of
right
in the vicinity.
Okay, so he gets a saving throw. Am I correct?
I had it 2 seconds ago. Yes, it is a yes, or an investigation. No, sorry, it's an intelligence check or an investigation check.
Oh, all right.
Doesn't you get a save and then you can check with an investigation on his stuff?
It doesn't say it's a save.
He rolled a 16, which is a save or an investigate check made. So you cast your spell around him. He doesn't seem to flinch. The Oracle, for your satisfaction, she would have flinched. So her reaction is this.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I've got it. Well, yeah, it's a jelly cube.
Yeah. The Oracle is terrified. Yes, she just can't move, right?
It's an intelligence saving throw. It's not wisdom saving throw. It's a second sentence. Okay, so the first thing I do is I close the door.
Right.
And then I will try to grapple Varda.
All right. Give me an opposed athletics or acrobatics check.
26 natural 20.
Yeah. Well,
at last.
He is fixated on this gelatinous cube and on the Oracle suddenly freezing and the halfling stepping back. He really doesn't know what the hell's going on. So when you grapple him from behind, you completely take him by surprise.
And I'll try to...
Quite well.
And I'll try to knock him out. I mean, I don't know how you want to make it. I don't want to kill him right now.
Right.
I want to make him unconscious. Now, by rules, I can attack and can make non-lethal damage, but I have him I want to make like a Vulcan grip. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Use a Star Trek reference to make me sympathetic to your cause.
Yes.
So
always know what your Dungeon Master is all about.
You have him in is you have him in a headlock and you're busy cutting off the wind.
Right. So I'll do that. So I'll just mechanically, I'll just do an attack and do non-lethal damage.
Correct.
So that would be 21 to hit for...
you don't have to roll to hit, you just roll the damage. As long as you keep that grapple going, you can just automatically roll damage.
Okay, so what do I roll on damage then? Is it my normal weapon dice damage? Is it...
no, it'll be a D4. It'll be a D4. Plus strength modifier.
So 8 points.
He is going to be unconscious very quickly. It then is their turn to react, but this is a surprise round, so they don't do anything, and that takes us back to the top of the round, back to Con.
I then proceed to tie up, bind, gag, and blindfold the Oracle.
In that order, you tie her up, you blindfold her.
I blindfold and gag her first.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, she's not moving at this point in time. So you can move her limbs. You can physically move them. There's very little resistance to that. So within the space of 6 seconds, you've got to have bound and gagged and blindfolded and quite immobile from what you can see. Mutaru?
I'm going to use Hex on Varda.
All right.
So placing a curse on him, particularly he will make disadvantages on strength checks.
Right. Perfect. Which brings us to Blackston then. Please give me a strength check. He has disadvantage, you say? So
Another strength check, sorry. Wait, why is he breaking away on my turn?
It's to maintain your suffocation on him.
I see. 17.
Well, that to beat to 6. Thank goodness for disadvantage. So yes, you continue to do your damage. So another D4.
9 points actually. It's 2 4s in a row.
Right. Well, no, he rolled a 6. Sorry. Yeah. So do your damage.
As I said, another 8 points. I rolled another 4.
He passes out. He literally wheezes, and you can see his tail, which has been looking as if it's trying to attack, suddenly does the flipper of Jabba the Hutt and falls.
Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
So immediately, without waiting a second, I move towards the middle of the room. Is it like basically 2 options, right? Back door or like trap door? And I just look at them. Which one do we want to take?
Well,
we're out of initiative. There's no more combat.
Oh, okay.
whilst you're inspecting exits, I follow suit and tie up, bind, gag, and blindfold the deacon as well.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the trapdoor, try and get them away from here without drawing any attention.
Yeah,
or
that's the
if we
trapdoor.
could find some sacks. Actually, I suppose this is a lot to carry for the 3 of us.
Well, oddly enough,
Don't mind
I'm
us
still
just taking corpses.
a couple of corpses. Don't worry. These 2 guys really irritated Vada. You know, just.
All right. So
these 2 guys were known for asking nosy questions.
So yeah, I'm just gonna take. I guess I can take. I'm fairly strong at this point, so I guess I can take Vada on my shoulder, and I mean.
I'll take the Oracle.
all right, not a problem.
Yeah.
And then I pull the oracle off of Mutaru's prostrate body.
Hey.
And,
hoist
she
her
can
over my
still
shoulder.
hear us. She can still hear us.
Yes.
Now here's a question. I think we won't know. Oracles can do mind thingies, right? And they can communicate with their minds.
Correct.
Now, it might be best to actually knock her out.
We're going to have to anyway because the
I know, it's
person
1
wears
minute.
off at this.
But like, either we want to speak to her, but I don't think she has the information. I mean, she has information, but we cannot make sure that she won't communicate, right? So we knock her
Good
out.
thinking, Blackston. Knock her out.
All right, give me a minute.
Sorry.
Check, quickly. Fun.
Oh, I'm good at those. 20, not natural.
All right, you apply just the right amount of pressure to the nerves just behind the base of her skull, and she passes out.
Nice.
She may have already got a message off. We missed that quickly. Where to?
Well-
Archon's ship?
Trapdoor, right?
Trapdoor.
Yeah.
Right.
Archon ship
Trapdoor.
into the brig.
I mean, trapdoor might be where our goal is anyway. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh,
First
right.
of all, trapdoor, where this leads.
Wait, I haven't. Before we leave, I haven't mentioned a couple of things. Number 1, there are lots and lots and lots of explosives under the stage. Lots of them.
It's, I mean,
Number
that's not
2.
entirely a surprise, but okay, that's good to
Number
know.
2, I again for some reason I feel like I'm giving up on telepathy altogether because it's just not worked for me. I used telepathy on Varda, which normally would be fine, but there was this thing, this titanic creature of pure darkness. Now, I could tell you all about the emotional spectrum, but that will take too long. Just imagine this titanic creature that ripped out knowledge from my head. I didn't see what it did. I just got the hell out of there. Because,
Right, then we
you know...
have even less time.
But that
And
happened.
Now I'm freaked out. Great.
Right? This is not normal.
No, let's get out of here quickly.
All right.
I've forgotten I'm a halfling. How
open up-
unnormal this is.
Go see where that trapdoor leads, small man.
You open up the trapdoor, and there's a
Mutaru, go down the hole.
fairly large, robust ladder, which leads down 10 foot to the sandy floor of the arena below. At least that's what it should do, but it drops down 10 foot to the sandy floor. However, the sandy floor has been dug up, and there is a hole just near the stair of the ladder. And at the bottom of that hole, which is another 15 foot or so, you can see a very old stone trapdoor. Now, this stone trapdoor is inscribed quite heavily with dwarvish runes, which have long since worn away. Speaking of the age of this trapdoor, there is a ladder that's been placed rather haphazardly from the surface of the arena down to this old stone trapdoor.
All right, if I had to bet my beard, I'd say that that trapdoor there leads to the mausoleum that we saw all the way over there.
Yeah, that's our job. That's what we want to go, so open it.
All right.
All right.
Onward.
We have no rogues. I'm very aware. People in the audience, panic not. We had a rogue. We now do not. Now it is Mutaru's face's turn to rogue around.
Oh, dear.
Oh, you're the right size.
Yeah. All right.
You look like a rogue. Racist.
You throw open the trapdoor, and there is a strong aroma of ocean, which now assails your nostrils, and it's almost a damp air that seeps out of the trapdoor itself. There is a strange green light which is emanating from the chamber that the trapdoor leads and communicates to. Now, there are some heavy stone steps leading down into this chamber, and you get the impression that the space underneath the arena hasn't been used in a long time. There is large collections of dust and sand, which has obviously seeped through from the arena above it over time, creating quite a choked up space. But someone has recently been through here, as there is a clear passageway through the sand and the dust down the stairs and deeper into this space.
Just before we get too deep, does anyone mind if we take a short rest so that I might get some spells back?
How long is a short rest?
It's an hour. I mean, we can keep them knocked out, so that's not an issue. But the longer we wait, the higher the chance
now's the time.
Sparta's missing. Yeah, I don't think either.
No, okay. Just asking. All right, very well. Into the ominous and dangerous hole.
All right.
I hope the cantrips are ready to go.
That's pretty much it. It's like, hey guys, do we have an hour? No, we don't have time for an hour. No, you sure? No, sure. Oh, okay. I have to be in front. Oh, okay, bye.
You don't need to be in front.
So who is?
Well, I'm.
The stairs are not wide enough to walk.
So the question now is: do we want to take them with us, or do we just gag them and just knock them out for another hour and just leave them? Because we need anything with them anymore?
Yes.
Carrying them around will just give us away, right?
Well, depending on where we're going next. We don't know where this is going.
Sure.
I'm reluctant.
Okay, you're right.
I'm reluctant to just leave them. We might lose control of them.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So the marching order.
And the next question then is, I don't know how you look on your transformations and such, but do you want to go into mice mode?
How does that work when I'm polymorphed? Do I come back as my polymorphed self or what?
You do indeed.
I guess.
And how would that work if you're carrying someone?
Yeah.
He isn't. Well, yeah.
He's carrying the Oracle and you're carrying the Varda, aren't you?
Holding someone and you try and shape change, they get left behind.
Yep.
Yeah, obviously, but we
Clothing
can
and stuff doesn't
both
ask why. It's just
I'm sure Mataru can drag her behind him. Just try not to bang her head too much. I transform into a rat.
right.
And
All right. So who is in the lead then? Con. Right. You're scampering down this corridor.
And I'll give a bit of distance as well, so that, you know.
Makes sense.
Oh.
Yes, Mutaru.
Sorry. I'm also going to, once I get the woman, I'm going to take away any visible weapons that she might have.
She was wearing a fairly simple gown of white cotton.
Closing all the doors behind us,
doesn't
right?
appear to have anything. All right, closing all the doors.
Frisker.
You pull the trapdoor down quite heavily. Now all that's left is this green glow. Now the glow itself is not very strong, but you realize almost immediately that it's this fungus which is growing and has illuminated the area. Very practical, very useful. Those of you that have been into the Dwarvish cities underground, which would be no one, would have recognized them instantly as being standard illumination.
So while the con change happens and he moves ahead, I'll take a look at Vada. Does he have any insignia, any... I mean, he had a longsword, which is obviously now not on him anymore, but did he have any other notable stuff other than a loincloth?
Varda was wearing fairly well-made silken breeches, fairly well-made shirt as well. There was the longsword. He has 3 daggers upon him as well.
Not anymore.
The longsword itself is rather well-made. The hilt is silver with inlay of mother of pearl. Quite a pretty blade, not as heavy as you had expected it to be when you lifted off of his belt. Then he has several small pouches as part of his belt retinue, if you like. 2 of them seem to contain bits of coins. There's a jingling sound to them. The 3rd one, you're not entirely sure what it contains, but it seems to be fairly well stuffed with stuff. Inside are several parchment papers quite neatly rolled up and then folded end over end. Opening up the parchment reveals a list of names. There are 18 names on the parchment. 2 of which you automatically recognize as Benkin and Ruth. Then there are the 6 ships that are currently, there's 6 ships listed as well, which you assume correspond to the 18 names, 3 captains per ship. And the Cloud Dancer is listed as one of them. So is the Swiftin, which there is well.
Michael, Swiftin.
It's writing down. It's all happening. Stupid past Michael not writing things down.
So yes, that's a list of names, and some of the names have been underlined in red. Only 2 of them so far. There's also a list of 6 other names, which you're not entirely sure who they are, but they're listed next to the ships. So it's a set of 3 names for the captains, the name of the ship, and then another name for each of those ships. Of those names, 2 of them are underlined in red, and
so 4. So 2 are from the 18s and 2 are from the 6.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, but the 6 names don't mean anything to me. From the 18 names, the 2 that are underlined,
yes,
do they mean anything to me?
One is Dwarvish, Kurlachlin, and the other one looks to possibly be Graith Danzigen. You're not sure. One's from the Spear of Thedan, and the other one is from Thunder's Call.
Sorry, but I actually write this down.
Yeah.
All right. So, do I know them as Anchors, Hastari, or Akarika?
Danzigen is from the Histari. You vaguely remember tales of Thunder's Call, which is the Histari ship. Yep. She served valiantly in an altercation which you had to study back at the academy, where the ship was used to defeat a rather difficult necromancer, principally by landing the ship on the necromancer.
That's good, yeah. That's fairly effective.
Yes.
Sounds like my kind of guy.
Right. As far as Kurlachlin is concerned, definitely, well, not definitely not Histari, but unlikely, possibly Okrilakar or Anchor.
So unknown to us, or to me at least. All right, that's good. And that's all that is on the parchments in that one.
Correct.
Okay,
Then
cool.
there's a list of expenses. It looks like it's the bill for the stage that's being built. There's a dwarvish name on that. That's possibly the person who's building this whole thing.
I'll look at it later. I mean, I'm into numbers, but
Sure.
not right now.
Exactly. All right, so the rat scurries along down the corridor. Now, the room itself that you are that you first walk into, that must have been used as an old staging area of some kind. It's a fairly large room. It has a single corridor leading out of it, which you have scampered along. Again, the sides of the corridor are filled with sand and dust and disuse, but the center part of the corridor has been used fairly heavily by quite a lot of people, obviously moving up and down in the past few hours, let alone in the past couple of days. This corridor proceeds for 60 foot and terminates in yet another room. Your senses are at heightened alert for any sounds other than the sounds of your companions behind you. And this chamber beyond, there is an individual in that chamber. It sounds like they are sleeping.
That's good.
I cautiously look in to confirm this.
All right. So the room has been set up as obviously accommodation of some kind. There's brand new beds made out of pine. You can tell they're brand new because there's no stain on the wood. They've been put together quite hastily, but large mattresses filled with straw have been added, and then covered over with woolen blankets and the like. Sleeping in one of the beds, there are 3 beds in this particular chamber, but sleeping in one of the beds is a woman. She looks to be in her mid-50s or so, a human woman, very peaceful, just sleeping.
So here's a question: Are all Oracle female?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't recognize her. Does she have a palm symbol?
Yes, she does. Indeed, she does. The only other detail that would distinguish her is her fading blonde hair. She has a little circlet of daisies that were crafted, obviously, out of it looks like mother of pearl and emerald. So fairly valuable, but other than that, it's just a woman sleeping.
So what I would, and Mutaro probably, if Mutaro's fine with this, would do is before we enter a chamber, we would wait for the mouse to give us the A-OK.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
3 other beds. Well, there are 3 beds in total in the space. There is a chest on the other side of the room, and then there's 2 doors that communicate out of this room. Those doors are also new.
Without wasting any more time, I scamper back to my companions, return to my human form, and fill them in.
Do you need to return to your human form?
You return to your Sajet form.
Sajet form, I should say.
Do you need to return to your human form?
I
You can
cannot
just write
communicate
in the
with you
sand,
otherwise.
right? You can just write in the sand.
Well, you turn back next time.
Well, perhaps
Also,
we should.
like a mouse is.
So the two doors are new. Are there any other exits from where we are?
No, this corridor has been, like I said, 60 foot and to this other chamber.
So just for the 2 doors that are new, the doorways aren't. It's just the doors in the doorway.
Correct.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like,
So there appears to be put.
let's knock her out.
Yeah, there's potentially another oracle asleep in there. There are more beds. I guess a sort of staging room of some sort. If we sneak
knock her
in,
out.
we should be all right.
Yeah, knock her
Yes.
out and move on, and we get a larger and larger amount of prisoners on our backs. But
I
sure.
think we've lost Michael.
Okay, so since she is sleeping, moving up, and then gag her and
Rinse and repeat.
and then
Also, any jewelry, rings, anything like that comes off,
All right. Just
and the
that
deacon as
circlet-
well.
just that circlet on her. The deacon, Simon, has already turned
First,
over.
yeah.
Just I'm concerned about magic items. So
Yeah.
no jewelry, all jewelry, all items, everything in a bag.
All right. It's not difficult to overpower this poor woman, especially since she's asleep and the good doctor comes up. But give me a medicine check nonetheless.
Oh God, wrong page. That is 13.
All right.
No, 14. Sorry.
It's not difficult to knock her out, and she barely wakes up before she's passed out again. Because you're so close to her, you can see that it looks as if she hasn't slept in ages. Her skin has got a dryness to it. There's a hollowness around her eyes. Her general complexion is one of extreme pallor. She looks like a woman who has been under severe exertion and distress for quite some time. And you're not entirely sure that she would have woken up even if an army had marched through here.
It doesn't matter.
Well, that's interesting. What is she
The chest.
doing?
When I'm sure that she is under control, going to the chest,
Right.
see if there are like any darts looking in my direction before I open it. See if there's any like pressure plates underneath. If there's like
Give me an investigate check.
cord in the back.
Whilst he's doing that, I'm going to very cautiously check the doors to see if I can hear any sounds coming through them. Maybe open one, if not, to see what's beyond.
All right, so
Yeah, he's back.
investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
12.
12. All right. You look around the chest. It doesn't look to be trapped of any kind. It doesn't look to be a particularly expensive chest either. It's not locked. So as you flick it open, inside the chest there are several fresh robes, much similar to the robe that this woman is wearing or that the other oracle was wearing.
Yeah, we can't pass it as women, so it doesn't matter. So
correct. And there's some robes, there's some sandals. Other than that, that's it.
all right, now it's an empty chest, but yeah.
Correct.
Also no double. I mean, just
No, you can actually lift the chest up and you realize it's fairly cheap, fairly new.
all right, done. Then taking a look at Con if you heard anything or whatever.
Yes, listening at the left-hand door, we're going to call them left and right from your perspective. Listening at the left-hand door, you can definitely hear the sound of someone possibly trying to decimate an area the size of the Amazon and trying to cut down every single tree in that area. There is a tremendous snoring that is hacking its way through the air.
All right, try the other door.
The other door, you can hear a hushed conversation happening.
Okay.
Give me a perception check, please, Con. Wow, Dice likes me today. That's a 17 plus 21.
All right. From the other side of this doorway, you can hear a very deep-sounding voice. I do not understand why we must wait until tomorrow. Surely we should start now. To which a softer, more human-sounding voice says, it takes them time to bring the others around, and I'm sure they are doing everything they can. Well, you only need to look at the oracles to see that they're taking strain. I mean, poor old Beatrice looked as if she was near death's door. And, well, Talden, you can hear how well she's sleeping.
So, yeah.
I sort of
sharing
motion them to the other side of the room and quickly just whisperedly relate this to the other two.
So I would say open the door to the left. Was it with the snoring? Just keep our bags safe. I don't want any like undue surprises from the back, even though whatever. If we know where she is, we know where she isn't as well, right? So just making sure that like, I'm not gonna get like somebody in my back. That's not happening. If I can keep it from happening.
All right, who's opening the door?
No.
I do.
I'll keep an eye and make sure the nobody comes out the other door.
Sure.
And I try to. I don't like do this, right? I do this, and if it's squeaking like very slowly, and then I'll open it as much as I need to, not all the way. And
right. The door is fairly new, so the hinges swing freely, and it doesn't fit perfectly either. It was just put in more of as a nicety than anything else, to sort of block off an area. Right. And heading in, there is, again, 3 beds that have been set up, much like the previous room. There's a chest, very similar in design to the one that you've searched already. Lying in one of the beds is this incredibly rotund woman, flat on her back, with her mouth open, and this tremendous snoring just rolling in and out of
how many beds?
Her mammoth size. 3 beds as well.
All right.
6 in total.
All right, so it's basically a mirror of the other room.
Correct.
Any other doors? Exits?
This is the only one out of this room.
That's good to know.
Con, you don't even have to give 2 glances, although this woman is particularly large. She has the exact same signs of mental abuse or mental stress that the other thin woman had as well. Knocking her out, however, could be a bit of a challenge. Her physical size protects a lot of the very sensitive nerves that you would normally just sort of squeeze off.
Are the doors lockable?
No. Like I said, they were sort of done more as a nicety than anything else.
Well, there's also the less civilized version on how to knock out a person.
Yep, you just hit them until they stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect we might be able to leave her and deal with the other 2. I don't think she's going to wake up anytime soon.
All right, so for now, I would say we put the other 2 we have in our backpacks, out of our backpacks and into the other 2.
Stick them in this room. There's nowhere out from here.
At least for now, because there's no other exit. We kind of know what's going on.
Okay.
So we have our hands free, at least for now, right? Make sure that they're good, they're well secured.
Tie them to the beds.
Yeah, absolutely. Then going, just for brevity's sake, going through the other chest, make sure there's no...
The other chest, again, contains these fairly simple robes.
That's what I expected. Okay, then go out the room, close the door. Could we barricade the door somehow?
I suppose you could use the beds, but it won't be quiet.
It's going to make a noise, yeah.
Okay, so just close the door for now. She's sleeping fairly deep, and the other 3, we have 3 with us, so there are 4 people in there.
By the sounds of it, whatever they've been doing with them has been exhausting them.
Right, so then looking into the group, and what are we going to do with those 2? We need to do quick, and we need to do it quietly.
Well, I have a bit more of my power remaining to deal with at least one of them.
Yeah, but I would rather... We're a little bit more safe than I hope, from being exposed, because now we're not in an arena with 100 dwarves. So I think we should be careful, because we have, if we meet quarry today, then this will be the pinnacle of exertion for us, I think. So if you must, yes, but otherwise, I'll take the man, you'll take the female, Mutaru. Are you good with this? And can you help out where it's needed? Or check if there's another one or
I've got your backs.
Yeah.
We have the element of surprise.
So let's take it.
So I would say we go in there with, again, self-righteous confidence and then just try to surprise them as best as we can.
All right. So you push open the door, Blackston, and this room is slightly larger than the last. It's designed to accommodate a quick glance. About 12 people. These beds are turned into bunks.
So this is bigger?
Yes, absolutely. In the center of the room is a large table. It's covered in pages and papers, and you can also see two very familiar maps which indicate the positions of various vessels moving about on it. These are more maps obtained from Section 5, illegally, obviously. Yeah. Standing next to a open fire which communicates up to the outside world via an ancient chimney is a very large chung. He has brown fur, one large horn, the other horn has been broken off. He is standing looking at this large fire pot, this pot on the fire, sorry. And he has his back to the door that you came in through. Sitting at the table is a fairly lightly built human, male. He has a hood of very blue silk, which turns into a cape, obviously. And he's sitting at the table, idly sort of shifting papers around whilst he's having this conversation with this chung. They obviously have got dinner that's busy boiling away in the pot. As you walk in, they both look at you.
Finally, some time to eat. Havada sent us to check up on the oracles, how they're doing.
Give me a deception check.
And I move closer towards the... Well, I said I'll take the big one, so I guess I'll move to the chunk.
Mutaru starts going towards the guy, the person behind the desk, but every now and then sort of leans a little bit like he wants to go for the chung.
Right. But Mutaru, you now get the sense, though, you now understand why the chung are feared in combat, because normally he's a big chung, so normally you'd have to look a little bit up, but right now you're looking all the way up. I mean, he's freaking huge. It's like, this is why the halflings chung do not have trade agreements, right?
The glory of the chung.
Yes, absolutely.
If I have advantage, then it's better, but otherwise 11.
11, yeah. So they both look at you. The one with the blue robes kind of doesn't give a damn. The chung steps forward. I was not aware that there were... How did you get past us?
We didn't. We come from Vada directly. You spoke to him. What? And I kind of turn around to the others. A few minutes ago.
He's growing impatient with the amount of sleeping going on down here.
Yeah, that's why we were sent to investigate what's with the oracles. You know how he is.
The human sitting at the table goes, yes, you don't have to remind us.
Well, apparently, and I cannot...
How that woman sleeps, I have no idea. How Beatrice manages to get any sleep, well, that's a mystery too. It just shows you how taxing it is.
Will they be ready?
So meanwhile, the broth or whatever it is boiling, because it's always broth, right? And are there any plates or bowls?
Well, the chung takes a bowl and slops some of this sort of meaty broth in it and holds it out towards the halfling, where he has to drop down to one knee and then still bend down to hand it.
Mutaru takes it, keeping the steely gaze towards the chung, trying to conceal more than anything how excited he is to actually have a bowl that's this big in his hands as he takes it, and a spoon that looks like a mace.
Well, it's not that big, but yes, I suppose in Mutaru's eyes, it's this massive weapon of destruction.
It's a club.
Yes.
Spoon.
The chung stares at you for quite a long time with those big dark eyes that the chung have. And eventually he says, I get the feeling you are a bigger person than you appear to be, little warrior.
That's all. That's and I'm just trying to calm the situation. I'll just say, yeah, that's at least what the women always say.
He turns back to the pot and dishes out 2 more bowls for the 2 of you. As to your question as to whether they are succeeding, I believe so. I just didn't think it was going to take this long. I mean, honestly, it's not as if it's expected. I would have thought that converting the others would be simple.
Things are seldom as simple as they appear to be when in the planning stages. However, from our time since we arrived, things seem to be coming together pretty much according to plan, which, frankly, is remarkable. There's usually some stupid cock-up somewhere.
Well, that'll all depend on tomorrow, doesn't it?
Well, yes,
It really does.
I suppose. It's the waiting that's getting to me. There's just all this hours before things to go wrong.
And I just point at the maps and it's like, is anybody still missing or did everybody arrive?
There's still 2 ships that are unaccounted for. The one is the Georglochalan, which has not reported in, and the other one is the Windswift. It seems very strange that they have somehow managed to avoid not only Hashtal's attempts persuading them to cease existing, but their oracle obviously hasn't succumbed to Juck's persuasive power.
Did we manage to track her down immediately? Like, this might actually be a giveaway with Blackstone, right? Because
I mean, a bunch of cadets have fresh out of the academy have managed to evade Hashtal and everyone else.
Is that a little bit of personal pride starting to leak through your deception, sir? He looks you up and down. I believe the Windswift crew were not cadets. I had thought that they'd qualified, but to answer your question, yes. The last communication we had was with Hashtal's ship, saying that they'd engaged with the Windswift. Since then, we haven't heard from we haven't heard from Hashtal or from the Windswift, does that matter? They're currently docked in a Chung city. Very strange.
Chung.
Anyway,
I don't know very much about them. I
As
thought
you
they were
say,
cadets.
3 untrained cadets are hardly going to pose much of a threat after tomorrow.
I shouldn't think so.
And I just look at them and say, like, so where are the other oracles?
What do you mean, where are the other oracles?
I actually need to take a look at what her name is.
I'm not sure I recognize you. What ships are you from?
Swifters.
So the question is, the one with the... Oh, okay, you already said it.
No, sorry, that was a joke on the previous lack of not knowing which ship.
I see.
Sorry.
All right, out again. All right.
Hardy ha ha ha.
So we had 2 ships. I'm just gonna poker here. We had 2 people with the red lines, which is the Care, which is the Danzig from the Hastari, and the Care. I'm just gonna say the Thunder's Call. And see how they react. And if they react anyhow suspiciously, I'm jumping over this table right now.
All right, so you're saying the Thunder's Call.
Mm-hmm. Because this gives me information no matter what happens right now.
Right. But the Thunder's Call has a Chung as one of their captains.
Yeah. Oh, it does, which is why I'm very familiar with his sort.
But if you're from the Thunder's Call, then who's the Chung?
He's not
We're
here,
not the captains.
obviously.
What do you mean you're not the captains, he says as he stands up?
Well, obviously we are not the captains. Danzig is not one of us, right?
But I asked you what ship you're from.
I already told you. Are you deaf? And at this point, I'll just jump over. This is done.
Initiative, please, from everybody, because, yes, at this point, the jig is on.
Natural 20?
Nice.
That'll be 18.
Nice. Blackston?
10.
10. All right. Well, all three of you are going before my dice, so clearly your deceptions are working well as you inveigle your way deeper and deeper into this mystery. Mutaro, what are you doing?
Okay, I want to ask this just logistically.
Right.
Being polymorphed, does that do anything to my strength?
The particular spell that he used, no, it doesn't.
Okay. So
small and furious.
So what I'd like to do, as much as I'd not like to do this, the Chung, we have a understanding when it comes to who we are allied with. We don't hold things personal when it comes to allegiances. It's I'm being paid to ally with this person right now.
Right.
Nothing personal, but I've got to smack you around the face.
Correct.
So with that in mind, I'm going to attempt to head down, tackle him in the kneecap in order to try and topple the large Chung to the ground.
All right. Give me an opposed grappling check.
Okay. Okay. So with the grapple check, what do I add to that?
Athletics. Or
Athletics.
25.
You slam into his leg, and he was not expecting the amount of force that you landed upon his body. And so him and bowl of broth sail up into the air as you down him onto one knee. He grunts out loudly as he does so.
For dramatic effect, can I attempt to catch his bowl and tell him to stay down if he knows what's good for him?
Sure. I don't have a problem with that. Food is very important to Mutaro. We know this. As you reach out and grab the bowl in one hand.
Is this like a Kung Fu Panda Po kind of situation?
Yes. All right. So yes, you grab the bowl and the broth sort of slops around a little bit, and you tell him to stay where he is if he knows what's good for him. Con?
I draw my scimitar and point it blade first into the other person's face and tell them if they know what's good for them, they'll carry on eating their stew.
Right. They're about to cast a spell.
They're clearly not standing down.
They're not standing down in the slightest.
In which case I attack them with my scimitar.
All right. Make your attack.
14.
14. All right. Let me just have a look here. Where's the armor class? Armor class, no. So you strike out at the person, and your blade slashes into the silken robes. But the robes, as your blade slices towards the blue silken robe, it almost looks as if the robe turns into mist or into water, and your blade slices into it, but doesn't seem to connect with him in the slices. Blackston?
I'll cast command on him. And I command him to stand down.
Willpower, wisdom saving throw of 5. So he stops casting his spell. And you can see the magic, literally, it vaporizes off of his hands that he was going to cast. All right.
Down. I follow up.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir. I say good day. Good day, sir. All right. So on that note, you have a very upset Chung to deal with young Mutaru. He's landed heavily as you tackled him over. All that he does is he takes that soup ladle that he was using and he attempts to cut out your heart.
With a spoon.
Right?
Because it'll hurt more.
Exactly. The fact that it's being wielded by a 7-foot giant minotaur should also help with that. So he is busy wrestling with you, but he does not break out of your grapple. So he's trying to sort of stab at you, but you're just all over him. You're just everywhere, just holding arms and elbows, and just you're not moving.
Not him.
All right, so that's and the mage, of course, has lost his spell. So back to the top of the round, Mutaru, what are you doing?
Mutaru uses his most forbidden of techniques, and it is called the Wrath of the edamame, which, for those of you who don't know, is like a tiny little Japanese bean. And basically, using his big fist, I'm going to punch him right in the gonads.
All right, mate.
As a tiny halfling, with all the force of Mutaru still untouched,
concentrated onto a small point.
Make your attack.
All right. 25.
25 is a hit. Do your damage, which is a D2 plus strength.
That is 6 points of damage.
Wow. All right, 6 points damage. He... Wow, almost. You slam into his nether regions, and he lets out this incredibly high-pitched... As the impact happens, his eyes bulge. There's tears that form instantly around the circumference of them, but he does not pass out from the pain. He manages to hold on. You've now made him incredibly, incredibly angry. Con?
What is my opponent doing since I told them to sit down?
Your opponent, the command was from Blackstone, which was to stand down.
I meant as like verbally when I realized when Blackstone's
that the spell had
done his thing, and then I followed that up by saying sit down, not as a spell or anything, just
right, yes.
Con, so
you can see that he's getting ready to bail. He's got that look of he stood down, his spell failed, and there's this realization that magic was cast upon him, and there's
I'm supposed to use the magic here.
There's that furtive glance towards the door that leads out of this room.
So there's another door out of here?
Correct. On the far side.
In that case, I tackle him.
Yes.
This episode should be known as the tackling episode.
Oh, I was going to tackle him too, so...
All our Kiwi fans.
All right, what is that?
It's athletics.
It's athletics.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, offensively, grappling is always athletics, and defensively you can choose between.
My strong one.
I'm coming. Don't fret.
11.
Well, as you charge forward, contemplating whether maybe this was not the best of choices for your physique,
bugger.
He's a caster too, so.
Around the man, and you realize that he has even less strength than you do as you to the floor.
Like a leaf in the wind.
Yes.
like two leaves colliding in a strong wind.
As one dandelion to the next. Yes. You both collapse waif-like to the floor. The robe, as you're holding him, you can feel the fabric of your clothing starting to get wet. Just from being in contact with this blue swirling silk.
He wet himself.
Garment. Not sure. Blackstone, what are you doing?
He is like on his legs or something.
They're
he's trying
entangled
to
on the floor. They both just collapsed onto the floor.
They're prone both.
Correct, because Con sort of tackled him, and he had no strength, so he just collapsed.
My WWE movement kind of is shining. One step onto the table, and then just like, conk. All
right, give me an acrobatics check for that.
So what I want to do is knock him out, right? I mean, I don't want to kill anybody. Acrobatics natural one.
A natural one?
Yeah.
All right, roll it again.
Fuck. This is gonna hurt.
Just roll it again. Roll another d20. No modifiers. This is for my special critical failures and critical successes.
3.
3. All right, you leap off of the table. The table, however, under the pile of all of the pages and papers and things, doesn't hold very well. So as you launch through the air, you land into this mosh pit of Con and this poor mage, but fail to connect anything with him.
All right.
As you land.
So this was my action? Movement action?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it.
All right. Mutaru... You and the Chung. The Chung now is completely enraged. You've seen this before. At this point, he's probably going to want to hurl himself towards a wall and try and go through it. He's that angry. There's no sense left in him now. Wow. All right. He grabs you by the scruff of your collar with his 19. Please give me an opposed strength check.
20, not natural.
All right. So he grabs you. You're holding on, and you're holding on like nails. But he is enraged. So he just lifts you up, and he hurls you across the room from him. D6, sorry. You take 4 points of damage as you splat basically into the wall opposite. And then he very slowly starts to pull himself up onto his knees so that he can get ready to start charging you. At least that's what you suspect he's going to do. The poor mage, who is currently underneath everybody else, just lies completely prone and whispers into your ear, Con, I surrender.
You're under arrest.
The Windswift has arrived.
Woo!
Mutaru, back to you, top of the round. You sort of...
Okay, Mutaru picks himself up and like dusts the dust and dirt from around the room just off him. And he sort of cracks his shoulder, cracks his knuckle, sort of takes a knee, but places like one fist on the ground, almost as if he imagines himself still with his hoofs, as he basically says in a very bold voice, all Chung no edamame have 3 beans. And I charge, like, ready to headbutt him, but with my height, my goal is to, as he charges, to duck between his legs, and again hit him square again.
So that's what you're going to do. You're going to hold your action to do this under-over maneuver. Fantastic.
Which is interesting.
Con?
Because my... Oh, sorry, yeah.
Blackston's on top of me at the moment.
Yes.
I'm
They're sort of next to you, legs entangled. It's just a mess.
Right, well, I sort of disentangle myself from this, and in so doing, maintain a sort of a grasp on the mage's robes.
Right.
And sort of haul him out, both of us, away from Blackston and the tangle and out of the way of the fight, as it were, since he is submitting.
Yes.
Right. All right. That's what you're doing. He's complying. He's just don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. Just please don't hurt me.
Do as I say and you'll be fine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
One wrong move and I will crush your skull.
With your mighty strength.
I show him the pommel of my
rolling over, seeing basically this two
it looks like 2 trains.
Cows. Yes. Yeah, just like
one's 3.
Okay, so here's the question. I hope this works, and you tell me if it doesn't. So what I want to do is I want to use his kind of focusedness on the small cannonball of a person to use this to my advantage, and I want to just shoulder bash him into the fire and into the broth, into Hurt Town.
All right.
He's going to Flavor Town, man.
He is currently heading from there. He's heading away from that towards the halfling. If you come in from the side, you might be able to derail him, but then the halfling is going to carry on shooting past.
But the halfling is next to a wall, right?
Correct.
Sure. I want. Okay, so Go ahead.
If you want to hold, let the halfling finish his action, whatever the ramifications, then you could slam into the
Okay, so mechanically this doesn't work this way, but what I want to do is I will draw one of the daggers and I will run after the bull and I'll try to cut his Achilles heel as he's like a meter away from the wall, so he cannot stop anymore.
All right, lovely. Well, we're going to let that. We're going to let all of that transpire because it's spectacular. So, would you please give me a acrobatics check first, Mr. Mutaru, as you climb underneath his horns?
That is an 18 on my acrobatics check.
18. He lunges at you but completely misses because he's not accounting for your height. You may now make an attack on his father beam.
Con pulls out a bag of sweets.
I've rolled 2 of them that have been completely useless today, but I'm very proud and very happy to say that that is a natural 20 on his fun bags.
Roll it again, please.
That is a 18.
All
on
right.
the dice.
On the dice, so that's just a lot of damage. Roll a d4, add your strength.
That looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
D4 or D2?
Well, it's a d2, sorry.
Okay, yeah, so 5 points of damage.
All right. By God, more than that. All right, so that does that much damage to him in actual fact. It's 4. You rolled an 18, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 4 times the damage. Blackston, would you give me, please, an attack?
Mm-hmm. I'll use also natural 20.
Really? All right, roll it again.
Yeah, this guy's dying.
I rolled a natural 20 and an 8.
Right.
Sorry, and a 2. 16.
16, all right. 16 damage?
No, 16 on the second 20.
Oh, on the second roll. Sorry, yes.
So
right.
this, I used a
All right.
dagger, and I used a dagger, so it's a d4.
Yes.
Which is a rolled 2, so
All right.
that's 8 plus 8 plus 4 is 12 damage then.
Yes.
2
Yes,
times
yes.
4 is 8
Correct,
plus 4.
correct. Sorry, I was like, wait, that's before the multiplier?
No.
Oh my God.
Because
Right.
you just multiply the dice, right?
Correct. All right. So you slice into the back of his heel and cause him to completely fail. The general effect is this halfling slides underneath his knees and just brings his fist up between the poor animal's crotch and then continues his slide after having connected. The bull he opens his mouth to make a sound, but there is no sound that can account for the agony that he is currently in. At that exact point, there's this burning hot slice at his back, and suddenly his legs just don't work anymore. The effect is that he slams headfirst into the wall and comes to a deadly stop. There is no movement. There is this very high-pitched whine which escapes out of his lungs as this whole animal deflates in a very, very painful death.
I look at the mage sitting beside me and go, aren't you glad you surrendered?
Yes, absolutely.
Mutaru goes over to the large chung, basically flips him over. He's
Right.
dead, and he knows this, but he whispers into his ear, 3 beans. And I kick him in the groin one more time before I leave.
Right.
Magnificent show, gentlemen.
Quite spectacular. Con, would you please give me a wisdom saving throw? You have
Oh, you bastard. I told you. Wisdom, eh? It is my strongest, so that's lucky. Disadvantage. So that is 3 of 12. 12. Oh, no, sorry. 9 and 6 is not 12.
That's 15.
15.
15 is pretty good. You are standing there looking at the mage when you hear a voice behind you. It's very clear because it's shouting, and the voice is your mother's voice. And what she's busy shouting is, "Oh my God, they've set the whole house on fire." At which point the room starts to heat up as flames now start to encroach around your vision, and the smell of burning furniture and timber starts to assail your nostrils. And we'll be back next week for more adventures of the Windswift as we find out just what is going on with flames and the fire.
What's going on?
Right, thank you for watching. If you don't stay with us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of the adventures of the Windswift. And thank you for watching. If you do stay with us for the review, well, we go through the adventure from a player and the GM's perspective, just to unpack it a little bit and see what everyone thought. So to kick us off, the Dice of Destiny says that we should start with Simon. Simon,
Fun.
what did you think about this adventure?
What's going on now? So this is really payoff for a lot of things that come, and just the approach to how just like moving in and just like shit talking people is like gets us closer, gets us more information. And I see this so seldom from players that I've played with. They really just like bolt open the door and shoot the fireball into the room most of the time if they can or whatever. And yeah, just like they don't necessarily expect to be attacked here, so why don't we just use it to our advantage, right?
Right.
So I think doing that, it's so fun to do it and to really just like move in. So like, yeah, so give me something of that to eat, and it's like just to talk some shop, and yeah, you get some information, and we know so much more than if we would have just run in and not went to the Oracle room, not went right. So it's great. I like it. It's nice, and it's also a mixture of role playing and combat, very naturally.
Right. Yes, because you can only sort of spin the yarn for so long before eventually you're going to run out of thread, right?
Exactly.
As was the case here. Mutaru, regretting your halfling?
Like I it was towards the end of the last episode that all my thoughts came towards like regretting choosing a halfling over literally anything else. I was like, I want to be something small because I'm always big, and then it didn't, and then as it evolved, it became worse. Mutaru, I swear to God, is like a trouble magnet, and as much as I'd like to say that yes, it's because Mutaru is reckless and always at the front, there's something going on. All right. I'm just going to put this out there. It's in the universe now, right? I don't know why. Like, always. Like, and the fact that, like, it's like, okay, so Con walks in. He's like, yeah, okay, this, ham and cheese sandwich, like, he's making stuff up. And then it's like, yeah, no, on a 4, he doesn't notice anything. I'm sitting there like, for real? Oh, why can't I get the 4s on... Yeah, but it's funny, and I enjoy it. I love it to bits. And the thing is, you got to have a good attitude about it, too, because bad stuff happens, and honestly, that's when I think you start having a lot of fun, and you walk around with a whole bunch of really cool, interesting, and fun stories for your character, because you can then say, so, yeah, here I am, huge bluff check, went out, tried to deceive this guy that I dropped a bit of cloth, and, this guy apparently works for the boss, and, just... That happened.
This is like the. So you're probably wondering how I got your record scratch.
yeah, that's what I feel like. But yeah, on the other side note, Mutaru does feel a little bit bad about the Chung. He didn't have anything against the Chung, but as we've discussed, the Chung have no, like when you pay yourself off to another organization or when you do your other things, it's no holds bar, and I just couldn't help myself. I kept thinking, how would a halfling fight a Chung?
Right.
And I went,
we know.
that's just, it's how I imagined it. I'm like, well, you wouldn't hit him in the face. I can't.
So here's actually something I didn't say because I thought might come up in the next session, but Blackson actually feels really bad about the Chung because he didn't want to kill him. I mean, obviously, that's the chance if you make him run into a wall, but that was absolutely not the intention of Blackston. Thus far, he has just killed quote-unquote monsters, right? And this is like the first human that he killed. Sure. So but obviously, if there's now Con is under some sort of spell, or if we actually under fire, I don't know. So maybe that will not come up. That's why I say it. Otherwise, I would have left it for next week.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's no accounting for you both rolled 20s on that particular roll. I mean, that was a spectacular destruction of an enemy.
Oh, yes.
That I think was fantastic. Absolutely. So, Con, what are your thoughts on the session? Everything was going sort of according to plan. Sort of.
As a player, I thoroughly enjoyed today because, as Simon says, there was this natural flow of fast talking and action, and everyone had their moments. Even though, like, Mutaru had the misfortune of getting caught by the Deacon, who you were never going to fast talk the Deacon, but. Throughout the adventure, with his conversations with various people, each of us has managed to engage in role-playing, fast-talking subterfuge, and actually, you know, you, like I say, we will have this point in the future where we can go, do you remember the time when we, and it won't be just, do you remember the time where I hit this guy with my sword? It'll be, you know, we snuck in here and we bluffed our way all the way through this, and so for me, that's quality story there.
Absolutely.
For Con was feeling great. Action in a direction is always good. The whole idea that you know, we've got the initiative, we're moving quickly, the enemy will be on the back foot, they won't even know what we're doing. And then, of course, what I always like about playing with Guy is he manages to throw you on a complete curveball, like, what now?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just when I thought we were swimmingly headed towards an easy victory. No.
Well, the interesting thing is that I have the challenge of potentially, and viewers who have been following the story would go, but and I actually think that Simon, I think you said it, or I think it was Connor actually sort of mentioned it, but no one sort of picked up on it, which is often particularly interesting, or maybe you did pick up on it, but there's no solution to it, so you kind of just carry it on, is that you are effectively fighting telepaths. The oracles are very, very, very powerful telepaths. So they should be able to see it coming, right? Or at least if they're not, there must be a very good reason why they're not. And Mutaru kind of stumbled across some of that in the interaction with Varda. Now, what was interesting was that, for me anyway, the exposition of the dastardly plan of the Raxtrakari, I have to make sure it gets out to you guys so that you can solve it, so you can move forward. But at the same time, I can't just hand you stuff and say, oh, well, here we go. Here's this piece of information or that piece of information.
So me, I'm the evil guy, and let me monologue for a minute here.
Yes, I now have the monologue prepared. So what was interesting was going up onto stage and just looking down into that mine shaft, or into that shaft anyway, allowed Varda to, he saw you and the dice just happened to roll in that particular way. But it became quite useful in terms of being able to give you some information which you might not have got in any other way, because you might not have used your telepathy on
someone else,
to get that vision. So it is interesting, and then the trigger, you say that, Johnny, you say that, playing with me, I always have a twist or a this or a that at the end, but and it's true, I do. I don't want to say that this was planned, because it wasn't planned. What was planned was you seeing the fire and that sort of thing. When that was going to happen was what was not planned. That was contingent on something very specific happening, which, because of this combat, has now actually triggered and has actually happened. If you hadn't done it this way, if you hadn't done what you did, which caused the trigger, which you'll find out later, it would have manifested in a different way, or later on, or possibly not at all. I don't think there's any way that it wouldn't have manifested itself. But it's been very interesting watching your approach, because you were very cautious at the beginning of the session, trying to figure out how to get information. Then you find a stone trapdoor, and it's almost like a moth to a flame, isn't it? You give a bunch of, there's this ancient trapdoor of runes and
But the other thing was also we had like our hands were dirty at that point, right? Absolutely. So it's not like we're not going to walk around out of the Colosseum with 2 people on our backs. It's not happening.
Correct. So that's also very interesting and very dynamic. But anyway, yes, some interesting tales have evolved and transpired.
Oh, yeah.
Leave us your thoughts on what you thought about the show today, as it's always interesting to see what you think. And yes, perhaps there's something that the players have missed that you picked up on that was dropped in today's show. If you think you have seen some information that I've dropped, because I did drop something rather interesting, let us know in the comments below. But if not, thank you for watching, and we wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming. Till next time, goodbye.